How are you doing? Are you lonesome? Did you forget to eat today? How are you living? Are you wholesome? And do you think this is a phase? I'm not afraid to ask you questions. Are you afraid to be? Are you afraid to be alone? There's something around the corner. I have no words for you right now. Oh, what a likely story. You've had enough and you will go. Don't think about it if you're lonesome. And take it day by day as you've been. Don't question anything, it's lonesome. It won't be useful in the end. I'm not afraid to ask you questions. Are you afraid to be? Are you afraid to be? Are you afraid to be? Are you afraid to be alone? Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving?
Hey, everyone. Welcome to very special Look at My Records live stream with my friend Anya Baghina. We kicked off the show with the brand new awesome video for her song To Be Alone. I hope you all enjoyed it. You can watch it on YouTube as soon as this live stream is over. But Anya, how you doing today? It's great to have you. It's great to talk with you here on this live stream.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful that we can do this live stream. And the day has been, I honestly don't really know where it went. I feel like I woke up and then I made I made lunch, very late lunch, and then it was 6 p.m. So
Yeah, all the meals during this time period are just blending in. I just had a lot of protein bars for meals because I forget to cook, which isn't that much fun, but it's all good. But you just released your last solo single, To Be Alone, with a great video that we just played. But I kind of wanted to take a couple of steps back. You played in a band, Soviet Girls, while you're in Detroit. You're originally from Moscow, Russia, and Soviet Girls was my first introduction to your music. And it seems like your identity, your Russian identity, plays a big part in your music. What do you remember about growing up there, and how has it shaped your identity as an artist?
That is such a good question. I remember, um, like, I guess not as much as I kind of want to. I feel like my memories there up until 10 years old when I moved to the US, like a lot of them weren't reinforced, maybe. And so I feel like I want to remember more than I actually do, but I'm sure it's somewhere there in the subconscious. But I really love that I grew up in the city, but for the summers, we were always, me and my sisters, we would be sent to the countryside, whether with like some family friends or our own like summer house. And we would spend the summer gardening, or depending on like which place we were at, like sometimes it'd be like walking the cows.
That's cool.
Their play. Yeah, so I think it was I'm really like I feel lucky that I had that experience of both the city life and the country life. And I do remember a lot of singing at tables. Like you would get together and maybe there's food, and then or after food you're like taking shots of vodka, of course. I know it's but it does happen. Although a lot of the times it's hand or homemade, and it's like your own like pickles from the garden from last year that you pickled, that you like. So you're like take a shot and then you bite a pickle, and that's like the chaser. But I remember sitting around a lot, and people would just start singing folk songs, and I was thinking about them, or about that concept in the U.S. I feel like we have there's so much great music here, but there's not a lot of like uniting music. I mean, I think people have their preferences, but when you think of a folk song, you know, like what's a traditional song that you could like get together and just everyone kind of knows the words to? I mean, there's probably a few, but I think in Russia, I was used to just like countless songs that many people would know and could sit down and just sing a cappella at a table.
Oh, that's cool. So some of that you took to your solo stuff, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of that folk influence, a lot of repetition, and the way that, like, yeah, I think the way that I compose some of my songs and how they're pretty like minimalist, I would say, I think probably comes from that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool that you take part of your culture and identity and work it into your music like that. I definitely am curious about your move to Detroit uh, once you grew up in New Jersey after you came from Moscow. You then moved to Detroit and you're really involved in the music scene over there. I've really learned about Detroit music a lot, kind of indirectly through like learning about Soviet Girls and realizing that there's all these great bands from Detroit. Like I said, I didn't know Fred Thomas was from there. Like Deadbeat Beat a lot. Steph Chura. How'd you get involved in playing music when you moved to Detroit, and how'd you wind up relocating there from New Jersey?
Well, after college, I got into this fellowship for entrepreneurship. So I was in one of those phases where I just didn't really know where I wanted to work or what I wanted to do. And so I kind of hung out for a year, and then I heard of this fellowship, and one of the cities that you could like participate in this fellowship was in Detroit. So that's how originally I got there. But the way that I got started in music, I started a artist residency with my friend Caroline, and we actually bought a home and turned it into an artist residency
That's very cool.
thanks, yeah, for musicians and visual artists. And so the idea was to bring both art, like I guess both the visual and the sound artists together, and encourage collaboration. And so we would throw events, and we would host different artists. I would live at the house as well. And that's how I met a lot of people, but also just by going to shows and, yeah, meeting people through that. I feel everyone is so welcoming, and maybe you should have expected that from the Midwest,
Yeah.
but yeah, everyone's so nice, and I feel like I never felt like there was any competitive nature at all. Like everyone's just supporting each other and constantly like I don't know, being really mindful about how we're like coming together. And so, yeah, I feel I just kind of got lucky that I met some people and through like, yeah, just going to shows and the artist residency.
Oh, that's really cool. And Soviet Girls, great band, as we mentioned. I mentioned to you yesterday. I remember you sent your music to Radio Free Brooklyn, and I really, really liked it because of the uh, real classic indie rock influences I could hear in it. Did you start that band first and then do your solo stuff after, or was it they kind of start at the same time, or what came first, and how did Soviet Girls get going?
Yeah, another great question. I think a lot of the songwriting happens simultaneously, but the songs for Soviet Girls, well, I don't know. I mean, I was friends with my bandmates at that point, and I wrote a song and I decided to show it to Devin, who's the drummer of Soviet Girls, and he's like, oh, let's like jam on this. Like, can I drum to this? And then we kind of started jamming, and then asked Jonathan to join us. And so a lot of those songs that I've written during that time, we took and like really worked into the Soviet Girls sound. There was never really a definite goal. I think it just kind of happened naturally. And then there was a chance to play a show. And then, we're like, okay, let's put these songs together and finalize them. And in the meantime, I was just writing songs, and that felt like they didn't really belong in Soviet Girls. I think they were not, maybe not as jangle pop
Yeah.
as was suited for the band. And so, yeah, and then again, there was an opportunity to perform solo, and I just kind of looked at what I had. And Jonathan actually sat down with me and we workshopped a lot of the songs and then put together a set. And that's kind of how it happened. Yeah, again, just very naturally.
Cool. And your move to Brooklyn now. You played such a big role in Detroit music scene, and you had your own band that's based in there. How'd you wind up moving to Brooklyn?
Yeah, well, there was a need to be. I actually thought I was moving back to New Jersey to my family home, and there was a need to like I had to move back for certain things. And as soon as I kind of got back, within that week, the family house was sold. It was an inherited house that
Yeah.
we got, me and my sister, and so then yeah, I guess I had to move very quick and I
Yeah.
had to find a job. And but I did always wonder about living in New York and what it would be like. And very happy to have made the move. I feel a lot happier. I think a lot of things that kind of started to get to me while living in Detroit. I don't feel that heaviness here. But I think there's also, I think I went through a really hard experience while living in Detroit, and so maybe a little bit is still associated with that personally for me. So I think being in a new place and in such an active one like Brooklyn is, it's been so refreshing, and I feel really good about being here now almost a year,
That's
or I
great.
guess, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Happy 1 year anniversary of being here. It's definitely a great place to be a musician and write and create and play shows and things like that. So the solo singles that you've released, how do you do it beyond Carpet and To Be Alone? They're really personal, intimate, definitely very emotional. I was listening to Be Alone. It's definitely a tearjerker, and it can really hit you really hard. um,
Yeah.
As far as the way you composed and recorded these songs, it's very bare bones. The instrumentation is sparse. Why'd you decide to approach writing and recording those songs that way? And did you do it for that effect?
Let's see. Um, I think that's just for a while I felt like they seemed finished to me. Like I didn't feel like I needed more. I do have most of these songs have a little bit of a fuller version. Jonathan joins on second guitar, and there's maybe drums, and so once I get to recording,
Oh, cool.
yeah, so it will be a fuller sound. But I think, especially these recordings, these last three singles were recorded to tape, and it was very live, and or it was. I think it just was authentic. It was done in one take, and because they are pretty sparse, I think it made a lot of sense to just do it in this way without adding too much more, even messing with them. And I think it does represent the state that I was in when I was writing these songs. I think they like the melancholy and the very quiet, almost nature to them is very representative of how I felt during a really hard time. And I think that's maybe why they felt finished, because that's the way I was perceiving the world maybe at the time.
Yeah, it has a very powerful effect the way they're recorded. And I was also curious about the set of singles. It takes place basically during a difficult time in your life. Were these mostly written during that time, or were you writing them reflecting back on that time period in your life?
I think for the past few years, I think a lot of them were written at one time, like around the same like year, probably like, which was the most difficult. And it's a very therapeutic process. I mean, maybe that's the cliche, but it is. I really just sit down, and that's maybe how I journal is I start writing, and a lot of this is just what comes to mind and how I'm processing the information. Actually, sometimes we'll write a song and I won't fully understand it until I can look back and process it and reflect on it, and then like, oh, this is what I was actually thinking, and this is what I needed to kind of think through myself. So I actually really loved in your review that you wrote how you noted that like the self-reflection part, and how I'm kind of looking within to I don't know, process the song or whatever that I'm singing. I think that's very that is like what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it's a great set of songs. Really, really very well done. And I want to talk about the video, which is awesome. We premiered it on the Look at My Records website. It was so exciting to be able to premiere it. Thank you for letting me do it. It's a lot of fun. And the way the video is shot, a lot of the pieces of it really seem to tie into the song and further accentuate the message. And you shot it with your roommate, Katie, right? She's a videographer.
Yes.
What was the creative process back and forth with the two of you in deciding to do certain things, like sitting in your bathtub and looking? I noticed that there were several times where you're looking directly at the camera. Really powerful way to document it. I was curious how you guys worked together and how you decided to shoot certain scenes in the To Be Alone video.
Thank you. So we actually shot it in 2 days. And I think the first part where I'm just on the bed and most of the time looking down, that part was shot first. And then the second day that we decided to shoot the video was more of the direct kind of eye contact. And I think those were I think those were both as representative of the song. So I'm glad that we did catch both elements. And I don't know, Katie was, she thought about it a lot. I think she was directing the video in a lot of ways. She asked me to send like what the song is about. And she kind of just went from there. And it was very easy. We just did a few takes, and the way that she edited together, and really, like, I think she really understood the song and put the video together really well. She kind of led the direction of it.
Cool. Yeah, it's an awesome video. Very well done by the both of you. I wanted to ask one more question before we play the Soviet Girls video for the song Think Back. I love the Soviet Girls cover of the Sheryl Crow song. I felt like the way you did that really kind of fit in with your solo stuff, kind of. The way you sang the chorus of that song. How did you decide to sing the words that way? Because the chorus, the way Sheryl Crow sings it, is really like, you know, she's loud and stuff. You kind of did it more like straight ahead, and I thought it actually had such a powerful effect. What was your approach to that cover song? I really like it.
Thanks so much. Again, I'm so glad you listened to it. We started jamming on it. I think Devin suggested that we do a cover for one of the next shows that we were playing. And this was the version that we really liked, and it stuck. And that's a good point, that it does kind of sound more like my solo voice compared to the Soviet Girls. But I think it really wouldn't be as powerful without Jonathan and Devin's playing on that song. And I think that last chorus that we do at the end, where it does kind of get that ambitious, get to that ambitious level that Sheryl Crow had, I think that's kind of like where it's all leading to. And yeah, I think we just all kind of decided that this is the way the song was going to go.
It's cool. I really think it's an interesting take on that cover. I like it better than the original. So, good job.
Wow.
All right, so we're going to play Think Back, Soviet Girls song. A lot of cool footage in this video, too, of you, the band, you know, going to the gig and then playing the gig and stuff. Tell me about this song and video before we play it.
Yeah, I think it was actually one of the first songs we've written together. And yeah, we captured all the footage on our phones and had our friend Justin edit them together. And there were a lot of really special moments, especially the show with Prude Boys. Yeah, I think the nature of that song is very also like reflective and thinking back to good memories, and maybe there's still some melancholy because those memories are, you know, like you've already lived through that experience, but they're still with you. So it's a really beautiful feeling, that nostalgia. To feel that, I think, is very special. And I think that's what the song does.
It's a great song. It is on the Soviet Girls EP, Filled Up With Nothing, that you can get via sovietgirls.bandcamp.com. Love the crayon cover on this Soviet Girls EP, by the way. Great.
Thank you.
4-song collection. And we're going to play the video, and then you're going to play a couple of songs. Really excited. All right.
Yep.
Here we go. Think Back by Soviet Girls. We'll be right back.
I'm content with being lost.
Seem to have forgotten what your word to me. Seem to have forgotten what your word to me. Beyond this patience is a vacant heart. Beyond this silence is a broken mind. Tell me once again why you left. I looked for answers beyond your eyes. I looked beyond what I thought I could find. Even beyond what I thought I could find. The first attempt was to run away. What am I worth to you? I ask you, dear. How many fears have you left to blame? How many tears have you left behind? What am I worth to you? I ask you, dear. I have forgotten what you're worth.
That was awesome. I had to run and get my laptop charger. But we're good. We're good. The stream will go on. That was incredible. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to hearing the next song.
Thank you. Do you have time to be? Okay. Do you have time to feel? Can you imagine what that's like? Do you have time to heal? And do you care enough to try? 'Cause I've been feeling like I really just don't understand. And I've been thinking that I really just can't feel like you. And I've been feeling like I just can't feel like you. I just can't feel like you, no. I just can't feel like you, no. I just can't feel like you. I just can't feel like you want me to.
Wonderful.
Thank you. This next song is Carpet. It's one of the singles that was released.
So, do you have any plans to release any other solo material? I know you said "To Be Alone" was the last in a series of solo tunes, but do you have any plans to release other singles?
Not from these tape recordings. Those were those are the 3 songs that I picked out just from the tape recorded ones, and the next step is to record a full album. So I think a lot of these songs that I'm playing now will be on it, and with a little bit of a fuller sound too.
Very exciting.
Thank you. The carpet feels flaky. Your arm can't hold its weight. Concerned by your powers, your boots by the door. You say you're restless, but you seem calm, convincing me that nothing is wrong. The carpet feels new. I'll walk barefoot. Your shoulder feels heavy under my weight. Your hands feel steady with me at your side. The carpet is wrapped up in the corner next to a box of your receipts. The carpet is wrapped up in the corner.
Awesome.
So this next song is called Waiting, and I actually typically, if Jonathan is available, he sings it with me. So I'll have to do it without him, but it's really great when he joins too. I'm begging for the day to come. I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on me too. Don't turn away. There's just no use. Don't let your mind sway from the abuse. hell in your eyes. Oh, she rests her head on someone real and breaks her neck in the appeal and whispers softly and loudly clear, there's someone out there, can't sit still. Those are sad songs, but
They were excellent, excellent. And how many more songs do you have queued up for us?
let's see, 1, 2, 3 more.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear these songs. They're sounding wonderful. Take it away.
Thanks. Oh, let's see. Still can't explain what a mess you've made of me. Still can't express the way I feel at night. You should know you're with me at night. You're with me at night. You're with me at night. You're with me. Every day is hopeful, by the end it's not. Every moment's wasteful, and it's all we've got. Not sure where I stand, not sure where you are, not sure where I want to be, but not very far. You're with me at night. You're with me at night. You're with me at night. You're with me. I still think of you. If you were here, what would you do? I still dream of you. When you are there, it's who I know. I still think of you. If you were here, what would you do? I still dream of you. When you are there, it's who I know. You're with me at night. You're with me at night. You're with me at night. You're with me. You're with me. Thank you.
Excellent. Awesome song.
All right, 2 more. This one is called It's Clear to Me. I clearly would do anything. I clearly
So for these set of songs, you envision a full length solo record for
Yeah,
these? Cool.
yeah. So yeah, I think you could probably sense that some of them could use like a little bit of drums, just a little more movement. So yeah, that's in the works. As soon as
Awesome.
we're allowed to record. All
Cool.
right, I'm just gonna tune up and then I'm gonna play the last song. My apartment has 2 bathrooms.
That's very luxurious.
It's very lucky. So I get to take over this bathroom for the show.
That's really cool. The acoustics are excellent in this
Hey,
bathroom.
it's true. It's true what they say, I guess. You sound better in the shower. How are you doing? Are you lonesome? Did you forget to eat today? How are you living? Are you wholesome? And do you think this is a phase? I'm not afraid to ask you questions. Are you afraid to be? Are you afraid to be alone? There's something around the corner. I have no words for you right now. Oh, what a likely story. You've had enough and you will go. Don't think about it if you're lonesome. And take it day by day as you've been. Don't question anything, it's lonesome and won't be useful in the end. I'm not afraid to ask you questions. Are you afraid to be? Are you afraid to be? Are you afraid to be? Are you afraid to be alone? Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving?
I know that one. Great song, awesome song, To Be Alone. Great way to end the set. And now we're gonna play a music video from Fred Thomas. I was pleasantly surprised to see you in this video for Alter. I wasn't expecting it, and I was like, "Oh, there you are." So we'll talk about it after we play it. It's a great song and a fun video by Fred Thomas off of his 2018 album. What's it called? That album? Do you know? There we go. So enjoy it, and we will be right back.
2013 as any other year that we had ever seen. But the entire town felt like an altar then. Those nights were spent digesting the ashes of a dead friend, quoting barricades and planes, cultivating contradictions, drinking whispers. And everybody knew without even speaking. Before it happened, you recognize a pattern. My skin stayed soft like cake. The roads were unpaved and no one was actually saved at all. But every attempt was made to hold on to that dislocated magic. And the sadness flattened every last thing in a lasting manic gush. There wasn't much I could have said or done, short of upending the afterworld completely. Walking through those days like a rabbit in a minefield. You can't feel the damage till after it happened. Everybody knew without you speaking. It was worthless leaf fire smoke, murderous green bile choke, sick, sullen, floating. Plastic fangs joined some dreams in the drain. They told me better days are on the way. The fall colors came containing unnameable flames. It's amazing everybody stayed exactly the same. Standing in the center at the altar.
Black screen in this video. We're back. Oh my gosh. Here we are. That live performance was excellent. And you were in this Fred Thomas video. So I'm curious how you started playing with him. And are you still in his band? Are you in his live band? Were you playing on his last record at all, or?
No, it was just for the live band. Yeah, he wrote everything, and other artists who are featured on that album. But yeah, he asked me to join for the live band, and got to play his beautiful songs. I've been a fan for a long time, and I guess we met at one of the shows that I went to. I think I remember a conversation with Trumbleplex. That we had, but I also had a few drinks that night, and I really wish I remembered exactly what I said, but then he just followed up and asked if I wanted to play in a live band, and that video was really fun to do. Ben Collins from Mini Horse actually directed the video, and he shot it, and I really loved the concept, and yeah, it was actually a very hot day that we recorded that video, and I feel like there was like a cutoff, like, okay, one last take, and then we have to call it because it's just so hot.
Well, that's really cool, and that song is awesome, and I gotta check out the record he put out in 2017. Listened to the one that he put out in 2018 like a whole lot, the 2017 one, but now I gotta dive back in. It's on my to listen list.
Nice. Yeah, actually, he's so we, after that experience, I feel like we really became friends, and then we asked him to record the Soviet Girls album.
Cool.
Yeah, it was actually I mean, I couldn't think of a more perfect person. He just makes you feel so comfortable, and he's so understanding, and had really good insight, like, on all the songs. And he actually plays bass on all the songs. So when the record comes out, he'll he'll be a part of it.
That's really exciting. So there's a Soviet Girls LP coming out soon.
A full length, yeah. We've got them all recorded and actually mastered, and then quarantine kind of took over,
Yeah.
and yeah. So we'll see what the plan is, but it's we're getting ready, I think, to release the album. Just not exactly sure when.
So, because I remember last year we were talking a little bit, you were kind of going back and forth between Detroit and Brooklyn. Was that to record that record?
Yeah. So and also when we had shows, I
Yeah,
would drive
play
back.
shows. Cool.
Yeah, but we would also make sure we would schedule a time to record. So yeah, actually, we recorded this over a few months because yeah, I couldn't be there all the time. So we took advantage of the time that we had when I was there for shows anyway, and it was really fun. They were like pretty warm days, and we usually get like some food and just spend hours in the studio.
That's cool. I can't wait to hear it. I love Soviet Girls. Everyone, all my friends, if you're watching, listening in the future, check out Soviet Girls if you like all the music that I like already, which you probably do because we're friends, because then you'll like Soviet Girls. So that's on deck for this year at some point. That coming out, you think?
I hope, yeah. I'm not sure how long this whole thing will last, and I don't know what our country is going to look like afterwards, and what I guess even is happening in the music industry. And I mean, it's so heartbreaking, all these tours that are being canceled, and I'm just not sure when
Yeah.
we'd be able to tour the album. And yeah, so a lot is unknown, but hopefully, yeah, this year would be great.
Cool. And you have a solo record that you'd like to go into the studio and record as well. So we're also very excited for that. Last question before we wrap up. I saw you recently visited Moscow too, about a month ago. Did you get to visit anything from your childhood or anything like that? And did you maybe take any inspiration from that trip for songwriting or anything creative that you're planning on doing in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Every time I go back and visit, I've been able to visit pretty often, maybe once a year in the past few years. This trip I had to go for some like this apartment thing that had to be figured out
Yeah.
that needed my sister's signatures, but so it wasn't a well-timed trip, but it had to happen. But yeah, anytime I go back, I get to revisit some old places. I actually, like a few years ago, went back and haven't been back in a while. And the first thing that I did was I went to the Red Square, so like the really famous
Yeah.
like plaza with St. Basil and everything at night. And I went and I just started crying. And it was so peaceful. There were not a lot of people there, but I think anytime I go back, I definitely get hit with a wave of just memories and what my life was like here and what it means to have kind of like this dual citizen life and how much I miss certain things. Yeah, and I think that directly feeds into the music. I've been discovering a lot more like artists from like the 80s recently, just like what like my older sister would show me who still lives there. So yeah, I think every trip has a huge impact on me.
Cool. That is awesome. And can't wait to hear the Soviet Girls album and your solo album as well. And we're going to wrap up with a video by Deadbeat Beat. I only really started listening to them with the album they put out last year, which is awesome. And now I'm kind of, again, going back a little further in their catalog. And this song's from their 2017 album, You All the Time. It's a really good song. And they're a great band from Detroit.
Yeah, I love the video. I remember hearing about how the filming went, and I love Deadbeat Beat so much. Yeah, they have a lot of really good music. And actually, Soviet Girls were lucky enough to play their album release show, like the most recent one, and that just felt so special because you look up to these musicians who are also, you know, your friends, or you kind of know them because you go to the same places in Detroit, but to actually like share the stage sounds so dramatic, but it was very special, and that band means a lot to me, and the band members do too. So.
Yeah, that was cool. Now that you mention it, I remember when Soviet Girls announced they played that show on Instagram. I was like, that's really cool because Debbie Beat's a great band, and there was another string of cool shows surrounded by that show. I remember.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So we're gonna see and hear that video by Deadbeat Beat, See You All the Time, and then we're gonna end the show with brand new video from a great Brooklyn artist, Henry Flower. The song is called Waiting Room. This video is crazy, and I'm excited for everyone to hear it. But Anya, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm looking forward to us hanging out in real life sometime soon.
Me too. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so excited to go to shows and catch you at one of them once we're allowed again.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate this. Yeah, this has been so fun.
I appreciate it too. Thank you for incredible live performance and interview. Now everyone enjoy Deadbeat Beat and Henry Flower. And we'll see you when we see you, everybody.
Sure.
I wish you never knew my name, and to my face I feel the same, that you never talk to me, because I don't know how you can see us as friends, or friendly to any degree, but that's what you want from me, so that's what I'll be. I'm too polite to ever say I just can't deal with you today. I'll just never call you back, and you should probably face the fact that you're a creepy creeper creeping to the furthest degree. But that's what you want from me, so I'll continue to be someone who has little relevance to you and your past and present tense. If I say it, it don't mean anything. If I smile, it don't mean a thing at all. I don't want to know you, but our worlds collide, and I see you all the time. I see you all the time. I see you all the time. See you all the time. I see you all the time. Someone who has little relevance to you and your past and present tense. If I say it, it don't mean anything. If I smile, it don't mean a thing at all. I don't want to know you, but our worlds collide, and I see you all the time. 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 I see you all the time.
Sitting in the waiting room of the great beyond,
There is no room for pettiness there. When our bodies betray us, we think, watching, waiting, punished for nothing. In the last waiting room, there is no breeze. Infinite wind just brings us to our knees. When you come to terms with everything, who will be there to take you in, take you in?
Who will you push out when the pain comes in? There's not enough room for the both of us. Is that nirvana? Has the balance been struck? The lowest of lows.
Slingshotting you up, you are weary, get some rest. You will not find it in another man's bed. Time comes, that's what time does. You'll be ready to feel the love, feel the love, feel the love, feel the love. Sitting in the waiting room of the great beyond, I'll be there, holding your hand. In the last waiting room where there's no breeze, I'll blow your hair off your ears and sinking in to the waiting room chair. I'll feel this strange blood in your veins, flush from sickness or love, all the same. We'll be as one when we hear